Yes? Okay, yep.
There's a kind of hush. I do that often.
You sing karaoke with me?
I would like to call this meeting to order. It is Monday, March 12th, 2018. It's 5:30 PM, and we are in the City Hall Council Chambers. Roll call, Patty.
Cyphers.
Present.
Hawkins.
Yes.
Hassick.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Zarley.
Here.
It's been determined that we have a quorum, and we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is right up here. First item on the agenda is to approve tonight's agenda as presented in your packet.
So moved.
Motion offered by Zarling.
Second.
Second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item is reading of the minutes from our last meeting, February 26th, and those minutes were also in your packet. Is there please a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Motion offered by Cyphers.
Second.
Second by Hawkins, excuse me. Is there any
Close.
further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. The next item is a proclamation for Girl Scout Week. And so I would like to read this proclamation. Whereas Monday, March 12th, 2018, marks the 106th anniversary of the founding of the Girl Scouts of the USA, founded by Juliet Gordon Low in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. And whereas throughout this long and distinguished history, Girl Scouting has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas through the Girl Scouts leadership experience, girls develop the skills and lessons that will serve them a lifetime. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls demonstrate courage, character, and confidence in ways that have made and will continue to make important contributions to the life of this, our own home community. Now therefore I, Deborah J. Foster, by virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Fairmont, do hereby proclaim March 11th through the 17th, 2018 as Girl Scout Week in the city of Fairmont, and urge the citizens of Fairmont to support the activities and endeavors of Girl Scouts. And we are very lucky to have some future leaders here who are fourth graders, and Rosemary Bloomster is the leader. And the girls, first of all, would you like to say anything, Rosemary? Or
I can just say that there's around 200 Girl Scouts and volunteers in Fairmont and Martin County,
okay.
and there's about 20 fourth graders, and this is just some of them, so that's all.
Okay, thank you. And so I've asked the girls if they would like to be on TV, and we know where the camera is. And I think we need to show them off and let everybody see what our future leaders are going to look like. So girls, if you just please come on up and shake everybody's hand.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you.
Hey. Hey.
Come on back. I think they want a picture. They're coming back for a picture, I think.
Picture with the mayor?
I think so. Come on, girls.
Gather around the mayor.
We got big enough room here so everybody can come in.
Debbie, put your microphone down. Say cookies.
Girl Scout cookies.
Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. Okay, next item is 9.1, a public hearing on ordinance 2018-11, stormwater ordinance. And at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, and we will go with Troy.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're going to hear a little presentation about our update to our stormwater ordinance. We've had a stormwater ordinance in place since 2010. Through the EPA and the MPCA, we have some updates that we're required to implement as part of our status as a MS4. So we're going to talk a little bit about MS4s and stormwater pollution prevention plans, as well as some of the updates to the stormwater ordinance. Tyler Cowing, engineering technician that handles most of the stormwater issues within the city, is going to give a little presentation, so we'll get that set up here.
Okay. Welcome, Tyler.
Good evening. All right, well, right off the bat, I guess we're gonna just go through what a MS4 is, and what the MS4 program is, so.
Tyler,
Some of you that
get in the mic.
don't understand or haven't heard about the program before, can understand a little bit better about it. There's 6 minimum control measures that are part of the permit. Public education and outreach, public participation and involvement, illicit discharge and elimination, construction site, stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, pollution prevention, good housekeeping for municipal operations. So why does the city need a stormwater ordinance? Every 5 years, the PCA issues a new MS4 permit to the city of Fairmont. The permit sets the requirements for the MS4 permit program. The PCA updates their permit requirements and passes those on to the city through its new permit. Those changes in the last permit to the city were quite significant, and several items in the ordinance needed to be addressed. The updated ordinance has a new structure to accommodate those changes in the permit, and incorporates parts of the previous ordinance that still apply to this version. One of the biggest additions, I think we missed a slide. Yeah. No, I'm just missing a slide, never mind. So some of the current requirements for the construction stormwater management program through the MS4 are that we have requirements for sites 1/2 acre or greater. Some of those items are required are plans to review, a stormwater pollution prevention plan for any sites, site inspections, maintenance of sediment erosion control, and that sites over 1 acre have a NPDES construction stormwater permit through the PCA. So one of the biggest changes within the new ordinance will be that we'll be requiring a land disturbance permit. The PCA has requirements that the city has to develop standard operating procedures and enforcement response procedures for construction activity and post-construction stormwater management of development sites within our city. So what will the city use this land disturbance permit for? We'll use it for tracking construction activity, reviewing plan sets, inspecting sites for compliance, enforcement of rules and regulations, helping property owners do the best they can with pollution and sediment erosion control, and protecting our lakes, streams, creeks, and wetlands, the most important part. So who will be required to obtain one of these new land disturbance permits? Single family home lots, anybody building a new house on a new lot, or building a new home on a old lot. Land disturbing activities greater than 5,000 square feet, and any land disturbance located within Tier A of the city shoreline management district. Those properties are all those abutting the shoreland of the lakes in town. There'll be a fee for these land disturbance permits, just to kind of recoup our costs for site review, inspections, and so on and so forth. 5,000 square feet, $25, half an acre, $75, and 1 acre and greater, $200, as those require more significant effort on the city's part. So some of the current requirements for post-construction stormwater management, which is the management of our stormwater, is that we require rate control for acres for sites half an acre or greater. Rate control is basically a method of controlling our peak flow off the project site with the goal of controlling that so we don't have downstream flooding and lake bank or elevated water levels. The current ordinance requires the developer to maintain pre-project runoff rate for the storm events listed. Some of the new requirements coming down from PCA are that we now have volume control and water quality requirements within our stormwater management program. They're requiring that we'll have 1 inch from the proposed increase of impervious surface, and for redevelopment that we have a 1/4 inch for all redevelopment and 1 inch for all expansion of impervious surfaces that will have to be required to be kept on site. As for the water quality requirements, there'll be no net increase on an annual average basis for total suspended solids and total phosphorus. Water quality for redevelopment will have no reduction on annual average basis for TSS and total phosphorus stormwater discharges. To comply with our MS4 permit, a lot of what they're looking at is enforcement response procedures, meaning that we're doing all we can to enforce our ordinance. We've incorporated a lot of these into section 25-1005 violations and enforcement and penalties. Some of these would be like a non-compliance for inspection, or verbal warnings, stop work orders, increased fees for people that don't get a permit, charges for added inspections if we have to go in and inspect the site more than once or twice beyond the normal requirements. Also, that kind of takes care of those, and all these requirements can also be used for illicit discharge as well as for our land disturbance permit violations. Kind of a brief overview of what an illicit discharge is. It's any discharge to a municipal separate storm sewer system that's not entirely composed of stormwater except discharges pursuant to an NPDES permit, National Pollution Discharge Elimination Permit, which would be like a wastewater permit or industrial stormwater permit for sites that have those. And any questions?
What were those pictures of that illicit discharge?
Oil.
Oil going into the storm sewer. The only one was a leaking dumpster.
Oh, the leaking dumpster, okay.
Yep.
Any questions for Tyler? Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to address the council on the stormwater ordinance? Hearing none, is there please a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Motion offered by Zarling,
Second.
second by
Aye.
Peters. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item is to approve the ordinance as presented in number 2018-11. Is there a motion, please, to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Motion offered by Peters and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Roll call vote, please, Patty.
Cyphers?
Yes.
Passick?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Zarley?
Yes.
Ordinance passed. 11.1, year-end fund balance designations, and Paul.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Each year, about this time when we're closing out the prior fiscal year, which would be December 31st, 2017, we've gone through the process with the council of designating our general fund balance. And this year, our unrestricted general fund balance is increasing just about 500,000 to 7.2 million. And in the schedule that I've shown, you can see a couple of the biggest changes, the things that we're increasing our designated balances for our park trails. In 2017, we had identified 167,000 coming from the liquor store for a trail project that we did not spend. And so we set that aside to the balance that was in there. That brings that balance to just over 300,000, and we'll be using that in 2018 to do the Cedar Creek Park Trail. We'll be using some of that, roughly 150 to 160,000 is the city's share for that project. So we'll be spending some of that this year in 2018, and then we'll have what's ever left for the next trail project. And then anything else as a result of our operations in 17, we put into the street park building. We've been doing that the last few years to kind of build up that balance, so that when we go to do that project, we're not going to have to issue as much debt, and hopefully not impact the property taxes as much. So this year we'll be adding 350, or we're able to add 350,000 to that street park building reserve fund, which puts us just under $2 million. So we'll use that for that future project. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on the designated fund balances.
It's getting close to half of that for that building then, isn't it?
I think with the project, we're looking between 4 and 5 million,
Yeah, that's what I
4.5 million, I
thought,
think. So we'll be spending 400,000 of this in engineering this year. That's included in our 2018 budget. So that 400,000 will be coming out of that 2 million.
On a light note, did you just have an extra $100 bill there that you put in the park department? Park equipment? Seems like just an awful little bitty amount.
Yeah, that was a contribution. We had a private donation.
Nice, okay.
So
Then it's not on a lighter note.
I made sure to get it in there.
Good for you. Any other questions for Paul at this time? If not, is there please a motion to approve Resolution 2018-12, designating fund balances for specific purposes as presented?
So moved.
Motion offered by Zarling and second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Patty.
Passick?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Zarley?
Yes.
Cyphers?
Yes.
Resolution passed. 11.2, inter-fund transfers, and Paul.
Our, as far as the budget process goes, we normally budget transfers. There are some, occasionally sometimes where we have to do some transfers outside of budget. So each year we go through this process and we approve all the transfers for the prior year. It's something that our auditors ask for. And so there was a change to those transfers. I did have to add an additional transfer after the budget had been, or the agenda had been sent out. So there is one transfer that I added. I'll go through these transfers. I'll just mainly cover the ones that were not budgeted, and so the ones that you haven't seen before. But
Sure.
The unbudgeted transfers would start on the transfer from 210, Fund 210. That's our Economic Development Fund. The next two are actually for the same project. That's our County Road 39 extension for the water and sewer main project going out north of town. So FEDA had agreed to fund the engineering of that project, and so this is a transfer from the economic development funds to the water and sewer funds. Is where we're actually spending the money out of that project. So that covers that transfer. The next three transfers are for our 2016 housing rehab grant. There is a city share for that grant, and so we are using funds from 3 of our older housing rehab grants where we're still collecting money back on some of those payback loans that we have on those grants. So we're using those funds for those 3 older grants to fund kind of the city's share on the newest rehab grant. The next 2 transfers are for closing out a couple of old bond funds for our 2010 bond issue and 2011 GO bond issue. In 2016, we did a refunding issue that refunded those 2 bonds. And now in 2017, those 2 bonds were called, those old bonds were called. So we had some funds left in those bond funds that were moving to the new bond fund in Fund 376. The next transfer is from our municipal state aid fund. This fund where all of our state aid comes from for street improvement projects. And so we're transferring $152,000 into the Margaret Street project. There was federal and state aid money that came in for that project, so that's moving those funds from that state aid fund into the capital improvement fund. The next 2 projects, or next 2 transfers, are closing out a couple of old projects that we completed in final in 2017. We did the final payment on the Lair Road Bridge project. So those, whatever funds were left over in that project were moved back into that municipal state aid fund 402. And then the other project that we closed out was the 2015 improvement project. So there was some funds left in that project that we moved back into Fund 402 also. The last transfer is a transfer from the Whitetail Ridge project, as we've been selling off those lots. When we originally looked at the financing of that plan, we decided to not bond for that project, but to finance it internally. What we're recommending doing as we sell off those lots, instead of paying back that loan back into our debt reserve funds, is where the funding had come from. We're asking the council to set aside or set up a new fund for a housing fund. And so as those lots are being sold, we would deposit those funds into this new housing fund, and then we could use that for any future housing projects. It'd be kind of like a revolving loan fund to kind of get new housing projects started and funded. So that's something new. It's a new fund, something that we're kind of asking the council's permission to do. We originally had said it would be an internal loan and paid back to the reserve funds, but we think this might be a better use of the funds going forward. So that kind of covers all the unbudgeted transfers, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on any of those or any of the other transfers also. So
Where was that, for that whitetail? Was there a specific fund you borrowed that from, or was it just a general reserve fund?
it was, whenever we close out our debt reserve funds, there's always some funds that are left over as special assessments are being paid off. So that fund does, our reserve funds build up over
I see.
time.
So it could be one of many, many things.
Yes, any of our old bond, the 2 that we just closed off, the 2010, 2011 bonds, those are old bond funds that we called. So those funds would normally be rolled into a debt reserve fund. And it's not identified for any specific project, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Paul? If not, is there a motion to approve interfund transfers for 2017 as listed on the attached schedule? That was at your sheet.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion offered by Hawkins and second by Zarling. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 12.1, Fairmont Police Department 2017 Annual Report.
Good evening, Mayor Foster, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity here to present our 2017 Fairmont Police Annual Report. For us, it's important to give a summary of our activities over the last year and also make that available to our public. It's posted on our website, www.fairmontpolice.org. and it's under the Helpful Resources tab. It'll have the 2017 annual report and our one from last year, 2016. Just a couple things I wanted to just highlight from the report. To begin with, we had our some new faces. We had 3 new full-time officers and 2 part-time officers that started with us over the last year. And we were able to have them sworn in and introduced here at the council meetings, so I appreciate that and the opportunity to have them introduced to the public in that manner. With that, this year we renewed our partnership with Fairmont Area Schools, and we're able to have our school resource officer back in our schools. We're very proud to have that up and running. Officer Belletti's been out there this year, and things have gone very well. With that, he's also helped establish the Adopt Cop program, which has been a fun thing for not only the schools, but for our officers. Our officers get adopted by a first grade classroom, and during the year they go in and have some activities with them, and kind of a fun thing for the students, also very fun for our officers as well. We've updated our Fairmont Police Department website. We've established the Fairmont Police Department Facebook page. We've got somewhere over 1,200 followers at this point. We renewed our partnership with the Minnesota River Valley Drug Task Force, focused on some of the meth issues that we have in the community and the area here. And in 2017, we established and met the state requirements that they put upon us to initiate our body camera program. So we actually had those ordered on January 2nd. We're still waiting for them to arrive so we can get them out on the streets there, but that's something we'll have for 2018 here shortly. And one thing I also wanted to mention, I told him I wouldn't, but I also wanted to recognize our 2017 Officer of the Year. Officer Shannon Bass was nominated by several of his coworkers and was nominated and given the award for 2017 Officer of the Year. It's something we'd like to continue to do on a regular basis, and with that, he's been with us just about 17 years now, so we're very proud of the work he does in the community, not only while he's working for us, but also his off-duty involvement as well, so we're very proud of that. And with that, if any of the council has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I just have one. Don't we have a new officer from Germany?
Oh, yeah, we have one that's going to be, actually he's in school right now. It's a very large German Shepherd named Titus, who is going to be joining the police department. He's at school with Sergeant TG right now, so we're looking forward to having him on the streets there at the end of May. So maybe we'll bring him in and introduce him to the council when we get him back. So
That would be good.
yes, sir.
Has there been any thoughts or discussion about with all the discussion going on nationally because of that shooting in Florida about if there's going to be, do you see anything coming down the pike as far as increasing security at the schools due to that type of thing?
Yeah, there's some discussion actually at the state capitol, some funding bills to try and get some more money into the funding, and a lot of it comes down to funding for some of the things I'd like to do for remodeling of the schools. Whether we see that down here or not, I don't know. Our school's been great to work with some of the active shooter training we've done with the staff and faculty, and they've always been more than willing to sit down and talk about us with any of the issues that come up. So we've got a really good communication resource set up with the schools right now, so we're very happy for that partnership. But it's definitely a focus. It's very timely, and there's a lot of discussion, so we want to make sure we're staying ahead of that and be part of that. So
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief?
otherwise, thank you very much for the council support. Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it, and on behalf of our guys, thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much for all the efforts that the police department puts out with your leadership. I appreciate,
Thank you.
and as most people do, greatly appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is 12.2, Economic Development Authority update. And Lindsay? Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I just recently, today, gave this exact same report to our EDA, our actual EDA board. So they saw that. They saw this today too. This will be made available on our website tomorrow. I wanted you guys to have the first chance to take a look at it. So I will start off with who is on our board. We have Andy Knoll from First Farmers and Merchants Bank, Bill Crawford from Preferred Capital Management, Rich Johnson from Culligan Water Conditioning, Tom Hawkins is from the City Council, and he's from Hawkins Chevrolet Dealership, Amy Long from Mayo Clinic, Bruce Peters, again from City Council and Peters Insurance Agency, and Wendy Voss from 3M. I'm the staff, and our mission is to support the successful growth and pride of the Fairmont area businesses and citizens. And I just put a little bit in here about Fairmont. Obviously, you guys know Fairmont, so I'm not going to read it to you, but some fun demographics are that there's 10,593 people here, 4,776 households. Our median home income is 116,388, and that's our median home value, excuse me, and our median household income is 45,900. We have about 9,500 people employed here and 784 businesses. And then the next part is something that I started this annual report, which is the most valuable permits. So if you look over the past couple of years, in 2016, we had Gold Cross made an investment with a new ambulance facility, and that was a $1.2 million investment. Ingleside made an investment of over $2 million with an addition of memory care. And Mayo Clinic made an investment of $586,000 with a pharmacy remodel. Now, this last year, 2017, we had Fairmont Realty Group, which it built the townhomes over by the Chamber of Commerce, and Zerke Built Manufacturing spent $580,000 in building renovation, and Fairmont Foods had a $3 million expansion as well. I do want you guys to note that those are just the investment in the actual building, and the machinery and equipment is not included in that total project cost, which could be substantial, even at times much more than their investment into the building. So those are things that happened just recently. If you turn the page 3, it talks about residential construction. In 2017, we issued 284 residential permits, which was 27 less than 2016. However, in 2017, it was $2.9 million more in value. So we had almost $5 million in home residential construction permits. And then if you look at the graph there, it shows when the permits are being pulled, and so you can see activity by month. Right now, and generally in the winter months, is when people do a lot of planning, and so they're not actually pulling the permits yet, and they'll pull closer to springtime or when they can actually do the construction. And then there's just kind of some interesting information there about home sales. So recently, I'd say about 130 homes are sold in the community per year. And then you can see that the majority of the homes are between $50,000 and $200,000 that are selling. As far as commercial development goes, we issued 35 commercial permits in 2017, which closely follows suit of the 41 issued the prior year. The total commercial building permit values in 2016 was $6 million, and in 2017 was $5.2 million. Again, I put a chart there so you can see when the building permits are being pulled. And then I also wanted to go over some of the core activities. One of the things that FIDA does is helps with building and site searches, provides financial assistance, and answers questions to startups or expansions or any business questions. And so that's people or businesses reaching out to us. And last year we had 34 businesses that we helped with those things. And then we also do regular business visits. And in 2017, we were able to do 42 business visits. I'd say that's a great number because that includes planning for the visit, actually going to the visit, and then always, for me, the most important thing is follow-up. So I just wanted to let the business know that I appreciate it. And most of the time, they have questions. So I need to come back and research what the answer is because I don't know everything, but I need to find out, and then I get back with them as well. So it's just the start of a relationship. Again, that was 42 businesses. And then we also own a business incubator building, and we operate that building. We provide office suites and work areas for 7 businesses. That's on Winnebago Avenue, and right now it's currently full. So we have leases signed through 2018 and 2019. So we anticipate the building being full. Another thing that we want to make sure we're doing is keeping track of building and site inventory. So I regularly monitor and find out what buildings or spaces are available, because generally new businesses aren't able to build a new building right away. So we need to have some type of inventory on hand in order to give them places that are as options. And then I do want to take note that we do work on business attraction as well. And doing that, we go to some trade shows, and we do some marketing in some national magazines as well. And then special projects that we did in 2017 include our new industrial park development, and that's the new development that they were just explaining earlier, the County Road 39, the expansion on that. We're working on obtaining the easements and then also getting the infrastructure, which you guys approved a grant application for at the last meeting. So you're well aware of that. Also with Whitetail Ridge, when this was done in December 31st, 2017, we had 5 lots sold. We currently have 8 lots sold of the 20. So we're almost halfway there. And then also we did a new FIDA website, which is fidamn.com. And as always, we're going to continue the Fairmont Area Life campaign, which is where we're trying to recruit individuals and families between the ages of 30 to 49, which is very important to our workforce. And then again, the Small Cities Development Program grant, and that is helping low-income, owner-occupied single-family homes fix up their homes so that we can continue to keep the structure strong. We help with siding, roofing, windows, things like that. And then we recently started a child care committee because we're finding out that that's quite an issue and a hindrance to workforce as well. So after that, it talks about the number of partnerships, because obviously one organization cannot do all those things alone. So it just goes into detail about who we partner with and why and what comes out of that partnership. And I just want to let you guys know that I think there's a lot going on in our community. If somebody thinks that they don't have them, come talk to me, because I would love to tell them what's going on. And then also our planning department right now has been very, very busy. So I continue to see growth. I think 2018 is going to be a great year, both for residential and commercial development. So, any questions?
Thanks for your leadership, Lindsay.
Thank you.
And for groups out there, if they're looking for a speaker, to give you a call, organizations.
Absolutely, yep.
Because you have a great message to
Great
share
point. Great
with
point.
people. And so, people.
And I also have to put the plug in for the Sentinel today. Thank you for that article in Zerke Built Manufacturing, because they had a great story. They're now up to 50 employees. They came over here with 35, and they're going strong. They're already over halfway to their employment goals. So we're very proud of them, and I want to thank the Sentinel for that article.
And I just want to point out that one of the quotes in the article was from Greg Zerke, and he said that Lindsay Price, our Economic Development Director, was a driving force in moving that business to Fairmont.
Thank you,
Well
Greg.
done.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, I
Yep.
enjoy it.
Thanks for being here. 13.1, renewal of consumption and display setup permit, Mike.
Chain of Lakes Yacht Club's had their setup and display permit for several years. They're renewing it, and staff recommends approval.
Is there a motion, please, to approve renewal of the consumption and display setup license application for the Chain of Lakes Yacht Club?
So moved.
Motion offered by Zarling,
Second.
second by Peters. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. 13.2, Borderline Cruisers Car Club event permit, Mike.
This is our annual car show that's downtown. It'll be on June 9th. It's a Saturday. They do this every year. They're going to block off a few streets down there. Staff recommends the approval for the special event permit.
Is there a motion, please, to approve the event permit for Borderline Cruisers Car Club to barricade several downtown streets for their car show on Saturday, June 9th, 2018?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
offered by Hassick and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. 13.3, transient merchant license TNT fireworks. Mike.
TNT Fireworks has had a stand out at Walmart for several years. They're requesting to do that again. They've paid their fee, and over the past years, everything's been fine with their background check, but a couple things were missing from their application, so I just asked that we approve this tonight contingent on the background check, which I'm certain will come back just fine. It has in all the other years, but we don't have that back yet, so. But we're recommending approval with the contingent on that.
Okay, is there a motion, please, to approve the transient merchant license for TNT fireworks from Florence, Alabama?
So moved.
Motion offered by Peters,
Second.
second by Cyphers. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 15.1, floodplain management ordinance adoption, and Mike.
Right, we're in the process of adopting a new floodplain management ordinance that will allow us to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. What I'd like to do, ask you tonight, is to call for a public hearing to finally adopt that ordinance on March 26, 2018.
Is there a motion, please, to call for a public hearing for March 26, 2018, 5:30 PM here in the City Hall Council chambers?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
offered by Zarling and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item is 17, and would you like to start, Mike?
Sure. I just want to invite everyone to a meeting we're having on March 22nd. It'll be a discussion on the City of Fairmont's building codes. It will be presented by Scott Queel with Minspect LLC. It's a private company that does building inspection for communities and provides education to contractors looking for continuing education. What we're going to do is ask people to be presented would be, what are the roles and responsibilities of homeowners and contractors? What are the role and responsibilities of Fairmont building officials, architects, and just kind of explain about the building code process in Fairmont and around the state and how it's pretty consistent with everywhere else.
Thank
And
you.
that's what times?
5:30 to 7 at the Southern Minnesota
I
Educational
think it's
Campus.
the flyer says 5 to 7:30.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have 7:30 written down, I said 7. So it is 5 to 7:30, room 0112. If you're a general contractor licensed in the state of Minnesota, you can earn 3 continuing education points for this, and the class is free.
And I did get told when it came up with PETA that any of us that want to come, you'd like us to register, right?
Oh, definitely, just so we know kind of how many people are coming, that sort of thing. So
Thank
that'd
you.
be great.
Yes. Council members, anybody have anything they'd like to have on 17?
I do. I got an email today from Towards Zero Deaths, and this can go along with Chief's report. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has the numbers out preliminary for 2017 of fatalities was 357. In 2016, it was 392. So far this year, at the time of this report, it was 51, and as of this report date was 45, which was March 12th. So looking good for this year as well.
Thank you.
And then I have one other thing too. There is, Region 9 is putting on a Rural Equity Learning Community Program, and there's several individuals from the city of Fairmont that will be participating in it. It's quite a time commitment. It's 3 hours, 8 different sessions up in Mankato. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And Ronnie Dower is one of the ones that have been chosen. Lillian Peterson, Katie Gonzalez, Deb Barnes, Joe Brown, Ashley Olson, and Jessica Martinez, and then myself. So just wanted to let you know that that's going on.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder that we have our first listening session for Saturdays with the city, and that is this coming Saturday, March 17th. We'll be at the KC Hall from 10 to 11, and if people would like to come, we'd love to see you there. So, Council Peters, did you have something to say?
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's what I
Well, I
got.
know we're not supposed to have our cell phones on, but I just got a picture of my newest grandchild born at 1:30 this afternoon.
Thank you for sharing that. Anything else?
I have two more things.
Okay.
One is, I actually attended a soccer board meeting last night, and they are looking for someone to help with their 6 to 10 age group, be a coordinator for that. And so hopefully someone will step forward and help with that. And then I'd like to put a shout out to Rosemary Blumster, who's my niece, and little Kendra there, who's my great niece. Thanks for coming.
Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion offered by Zarling and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and the meeting is adjourned.